Horror readings by G.M. Danielson. Fungi from Yuggoth by H.P. Lovecraft. The book. The place was dark and dusty and half lost in tangles of old alleys near the quays, reeking of strange things brought in from the seas, and with queer curls of fog that west winds tossed. Small lozenge panes, obscured by smoke and frost, just showed the books in piles like twisted trees, rotting from floor to roof. Congeries of crumbling elder lore at little cost. I entered charmed, and from a cobwebbed heap took up the nearest tome and thumbed it through, trembling at curious words that seemed to keep some secret, monstrous if one only knew. Then, looking for some cellar old in craft, I could find nothing but a voice that laughed. Pursuit. I held the book beneath my coat, at pains to hide the thing from sight in such a place, hurrying through the ancient harbor lanes with often turning head and nervous pace. Dull, furtive windows in old, tottering brick peered at me oddly as I hastened by, and thinking what they sheltered, I grew sick for a redeeming glimpse of clear blue sky. No one had seen me take the thing, but still a blank laugh echoed in my whirling head, and I could guess what nighted world of ill lurked in that volume I had coveted. The way grew strange, the walls alike and maddening, and far behind me, unseen feet were padding. The key. I do not know what windings in the waste of those strange sea lanes brought me home once more, but on my porch I trembled, white with haste to get inside and bolt the heavy door. I had the book that told the hidden way across the void, and through the space-hung screens that held the undimensioned worlds at bay, and keep the lost aeons to their own domains. At last the key was mine to those vague visions of sunset spires and twilight woods that brood dim in the gulfs beyond this earth's precisions, lurking as memories of infinitude. The key was mine. But as I sat there mumbling, the attic window shook with a faint fumbling. Recognition. The day had come again, when as a child I saw, just once, that hollow of old oaks, grey with a ground mist that enfolds and chokes the slinking shapes which madness has defiled. It was the same. An herbage rank and wild clings round an altar whose carved sign invokes that nameless one, to whom 1,000 smokes rose, aeons gone, from unclean towers uppiled. I saw the body spread on that dank stone, and knew those things which feasted were not men. I knew this strange grey world was not my own, but Yuggoth, past the starry voids. And then the body shrieked at me with a dead cry, and all too late I knew that it was I. Homecoming. The demon said that he would take me home to the pale, shadowy land that I half recalled as a high place of stair and terrace, walled with marble balustrades that sky winds comb, while miles below a maze of dome on dome and tower on tower beside a sea lies sprawled. Once more, he told me, I would stand enthralled on those old heights and hear the far-off foam. All this he promised, and through sunset's gate he swept me, past the lapping lakes of flame and red gold thrones of gods without a name, who shriek in fear at some impending fate. Then a black gulf with sea sounds in the night. Here was your home, he mocked, when you had sight. The lamp. We found the lamp inside those hollow cliffs whose chiseled sign no priest in Thebes could read, and from whose caverns frightened hieroglyphs warned every creature of earth's breed. No more was there, just one brazen bowl with traces of a curious oil within, fretted with some obscurely patterned scroll and symbols hinting vaguely of strange sin. Little the fears of 40 centuries meant to us as we bore off our slender spoil, and when we scanned it in our darkened tent, we struck a match to test the ancient oil. It blazed, great God! But the shapes we saw in that mad flash have seared our lives with awe. Zamen's Hill. The great hill hung close over the old town, a precipice against the main street's end, green and tall and wooded, looking darkly down upon the steeple at the highway bend. 200 years the whispers had been heard about what happened on the man-shunned slope, tales of an oddly mangled deer or bird, or of lost boys whose kin had ceased to hope. One day the mailman found no village there, nor were any of its folk or houses seen again. People came out from Aylesbury to stare, yet they all told the mailman it was plain that he was mad for saying he had spied the great hill's gluttonous eyes and jaws stretched wide. The Port. 10 miles from Arkham, I had struck the trail that rides the cliff edge over Boynton Beach, and hoped that just at sunset I could reach the crest that looks on Innsmouth in the Vale. Far out at sea was a retreating sail, white as hard years of ancient winds could bleach, but evil with some portent beyond speech, so that I did not wave my hand or hail. Sails out of Innsmouth, echoing old renown of long-dead times. But now a too swift night is closing in, and I have reached the height whence so often I scan the distant town. The spires and roofs are there, but look! The gloom sinks on dark lanes as lightless as a tomb. The Courtyard. It was a city I had known before, the ancient leprous town where mongrel throngs chant to strange gods and beat unhallowed gongs in crypts beneath foul alleys near the shore. The rotting flesh-eyed houses leered at me from where they leaned, drunk and half-animate, as edging through the filth I passed the gate to the black courtyard where the man would be. The dark walls closed me in, and loud I cursed that ever I had come to such a den, when suddenly a score of windows burst into wild light and swarmed with dancing men, mad, soundless revels of the dragging dead. and not a corpse had either hands or head. The pigeon flyers. They took me slumming where gaunt walls of brick bulge outward with a viscous stored up evil, and twisted faces thronging foul and thick wink messages to alien god and devil. A million fires were blazing in the streets, and from flat roofs a furtive few would fly bedraggled birds into the yawning sky, while hidden drums droned on with measured beats. I knew those fires were brewing monstrous things, and that those birds of space had been outside. I guessed to what dark planet's crypts they plied, and what they brought from Thog beneath their wings. The others laughed, till struck too mute to speak by what they glimpsed in one bird's evil beak. The Well. Farmer Seth Atwood was past 80 when he tried to sink that deep well by his door, with only Ebb to help him bore and bore. We laughed and hoped he'd soon be sane again. And yet instead young Ebb went crazy too, so that they shipped him to the county farm. Seth bricked up the well mouth as tight as glue, then hacked an artery in his gnarled left arm. After the funeral, we felt bound to get out to that well and rip the bricks away, but all we saw were iron handholds set down a black hole deeper than we could say. And yet we put the bricks back, for we found the hole too deep for any line to sound. The Howler. They told me not to take the Briggs Hill path that used to be the high road through to Zor, for Goody Watkins, hanged in 1704, had left a certain monstrous aftermath. Yet when I disobeyed and had in view the vine-hung cottage by the great rock slope, I could not think of elms or hempen rope, but wondered why the house still seemed so new. Stopping a while to watch the fading day, I heard faint howls as from a room upstairs, when through the ivied panes one sunset ray struck in and caught the Howler unawares. I glimpsed and ran in frenzy from the place, and from a four-pawed thing with human face.